Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, all the other people across the globe, from our fellow African countries. Good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of the All You Need to Know series. In this series, we're going to be talking about cybersecurity. So our webinar is All You Need to Know about cybersecurity. So I'd like to welcome all of you. On the call, we have two phenomenal speakers who are going to be talking to us about cybersecurity. They're going to be equipping us with all the knowledge, all the reasons why we should study cybersecurity, and also why it is important for us as individuals and organizations to do cybersecurity. So before I move into the webinar proper, I would just like to introduce these wonderful men who are going to be speaking to us today about cybersecurity. But first, let's talk about iCentra. This webinar is sponsored by iCentra Learning, which is the learning unit of iCentra Consulting. And what we do is that we do both people development and empowerment and growth. We empower people and organizations with the tools that they need to deliver value excellently. And we do that through our executive workshops, our corporate trainings, which are both local and international, on-demand trainings, capacity support services, and also through our open classes. And we have been doing this for the past 15 years. Within this time, we have built competence, we have learned and understood the different needs of people and organizations, and we use this experience on a daily basis to equip all our clients, both individual and organizations. So let's move into the next sector, which is meeting our facilitators. My name is Lum, Ayinwi Lum, and I'm going to be your host today. I lead the Learning and Development Unit of iCentra. I'm always here to serve you diligently. We have our first speaker, who is Mr. Idris Adekunle. He has worked in sectors across the different industries in the banking sector, in the development sector. He's a trainer and an information security expert. He's a specialist in ISO 27001, which makes him a lead implementer and also the lead auditor. And he has over 20 years of experience helping organizations and people to manage their systems and to keep them safe and secured. He is an information security expert. And then we have our next speaker, who is also a cybersecurity trainer and analyst and an expert when it comes to information security. He is in Canada and he works with a group of his colleagues. They manage, they help a lot of organizations manage their cybersecurity threats, and he also trains individuals on what to do, give tips on what they could do if they want to move into the world of cybersecurity and into cybersecurity. And these two wonderful men are going to be speaking to us about cybersecurity. So I'm just going to welcome them now. While the webinar is going on, we're going to drop their profiles, links to their profiles in the chat and to their LinkedIn. So you can always just follow them on LinkedIn, and also we're going to be dropping the links to iCentra Learning and iCentra Consulting's website, LinkedIn pages and Instagram pages so that you can connect with us based on that. We also have courses that speak to cybersecurity, both at the foundations level and at the advanced level. So once you get information from Mr. Idris and Mr. James, you can always reach out to us so that we can equip you with the best courses that will help you start your career and build it in cybersecurity. So without taking a lot of your time, welcome, Mr. Idris. Can you unmute yourself and say hello to our participants? Welcome, Mr. Idris. We're so happy to have you here. and we appreciate you making out time to be here to share some nuggets with us. You're muted, so we cannot hear you. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, so while we wait for Mr. Idris to unmute himself, welcome, James. Thank you so much for making our time to be here to talk with us. Oh, I can see that Mr. Idris is unmuted. Welcome, sir. Thank you for making our time this afternoon to talk to us on cybersecurity.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Lum. It's my pleasure. Good day, Mr. James. It's nice seeing you. Good day, everyone, from whatever part of the world they're joining us from, whether it's morning or afternoon or evening from your area. We just want to say good day and how are you doing? Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Idris, for that warm welcome. Hello, James, again. Thank you for making our time to be here. You can just say a quick hello before we move into the program.
Again, thank you, Lane, for having me. Thank you, iCentra, for having Garly here to speak on cybersecurity. My name is James, as you already know. I'm a cybersecurity analyst and trainer at Gadley, calling in from Toronto, Canada. And yeah, I'm so excited to be here to talk about security and also learn to know, also here to hear Idris as well, speak. And yeah, I'm just here to, have fun and share some insights.
Okay, thank you very much for that, James. So just a quick rundown of how we're going to go throughout the webinar. We will ask some questions pertaining to important areas in cybersecurity. Speakers are going to speak, they're going to share information with us, they're going to speak on all these different topics and questions that we will ask them. Once we are done with that, our attendees will have 20 minutes to ask questions of the speakers, and the speakers will answer all their questions and also share tips on what type of courses to do. If you want to begin a career in cybersecurity, how do you go about it? We hope that we can maximize that we have and don't take so much of your time. So I'm going to ask the first question, and this is directed to Mr. Idris.
Okay.
So, what would you like to tell us about cybersecurity? There's this rave about cybersecurity now. It's the it thing in the market now. What is cybersecurity and how is it related to information security? Because a lot of people are usually confused about the two things. So can you just tell us what cybersecurity is and how is it related to information security?
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Lum. Cybersecurity has become a global phenomenon, and before now, it used to be just amateurs that go into cybersecurity. But now we have events has shown that cybersecurity has become a major global phenomenon, and it's no longer a bit for amateurs. Now you have experts getting involved in cybersecurity. We have countries getting involved in cybersecurity. Because when you have something like cyber attacks, it's not just about attacking a system or attacking a device. It's gone way beyond that. Even countries, engage in cyber security, cyber attacks against one another via espionage and so on and so forth. In short, in a simple term, cyber security is simply the protection of computers, networks, programs, and data from attacks. That's just a simple definition of cyber security. In this digital age, all our lives, seems to be centered now around technology. Um, Protecting those technologies, protecting those information, has become a major issue for both individuals and organizations, even governments all over the world. So cybersecurity has become a major issue to the world at large. Like I said when I started, is time for everyone to be involved. Everyone, you in as much as you have a phone and the social media space, you have a computer, you work in an organization, no matter where you are or whatever sector you are playing, and it has become imperative for everyone to get involved in cybersecurity. Hope I've been able to answer your question, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Idris, for
Yeah.
that. At least now a lot of us understand what cybersecurity is, and we know that it is necessary for everybody, be it an individual or an organization, to be aware that these things exist and to ensure that they can counter it when the need arises. So just to add to that, I'm going to ask a question to James based off of what Mr. Idris has said. Now that we understand cybersecurity, can you just elaborate, James, on some of the consequences of a data breach? Because obviously this will come about from a cybersecurity attack. Can you just give a follow-up answer and talk to us about the consequences of a data breach and how individuals and organizations can respond with respect to that?
Yes, again, thanks, Lame, also Idris. Great, intro on what as cybersecurity. So, well, we can have consequences, or we cannot have a data breach when we have standard, what's the word, tools, policies in place, right? But some of the consequences of a data breach can include, include financial loss. It also includes data theft, right? Also includes emotional distress, right? When someone is already under panic attack, or my information just got leaked out to the dark web. My company's data is no longer safe, right? So that brings about emotional distress. And then for organizations where we are looking at reputational damage, right? You discover that people are now, businesses are now, clients are now beginning to say, well, this particular company, since they had a data breach, my relationship with them might start going south, or I think I should start looking for another company to do businesses with, right? And then in some cases, we can have legal or regulatory consequences, right? And then we can also have operational disruption. You see that the business can no longer function for like a few days. There's sort of like a cease of operation. Day-to-day transactions no longer is, people can no longer do their day-to-day transactions. Why? Because of the breach, right? And but then in responding to a breach, right, which is what I want to make emphasis on here today, is responding to a breach involves swift and structured approach, right, to mitigate impact, to also communicate transparently. You are speaking to your clients, to your vendors, you're speaking to your key stakeholders. Oh, we just had a breach, right? So there has to be that clear in communication. And how you do it, again, step by step, is you have to contain the breach. And in containing the breach, you are identifying and isolating affected systems, to prevent further data loss, right? And you're also stopping any unauthorized access by disabling compromised accounts, changing passwords, and revealing the firewall rules, right? And then you are now doing what we call assess the scope, right? You are identifying what data was compromised, right? Who was affected? How did the breach occur, right? Identifying these, and then also understand if personal or financial or sensitive business information was exposed. So you go through that process, and then of course you communicate with impacted individuals. Again, your vendors, your clients, letting them know, oh, this is what is happening, and then of course you investigate and document. It's a whole process, but again, there is what we call the containment, eradication, recovery, and then post-learning, right? That's what happened. I think we would definitely get more as we we'll get in details more information as we go, in today's training.
Okay, thank you so much for that in-depth explanation, James. I'm sure at this side of the world, most of us feel that when you have an issue with information, it's probably because there was a fire in your office and your documents got burned. Nobody is thinking about what happens when your information is all over the net and then it gets lost, or somebody steals it, or it gets corrupted. At least I know that personally, the part of emotional distress resonated with me. I'm trying to imagine how I would feel if I had to lose all my information, and all that. And also the fact that the information I have, or if I lost my company's information, it could cause a serious issue to the organization based on their reputation and all the other consequences, loss of business because people are scared that you will not be able to guide and manage their information properly. And I'm happy that as we go forward in the webinar, we will still see ways in which we can contain those issues. So thank you for that. So let's quickly move into the next question, which is going to be for Mr. Idris. And now we're talking about what cybersecurity is and why it is important. So this is for you, Mr. Idris, and I'd just like to ask, based off of your years of experience being a cybersecurity expert and also an information security expert, is cybersecurity an important career choice? And if the answer is yes, how is it essential for individuals and organizations in today's digital landscape?
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for that question. You see, before now, like I said when I did my opening statement, cybersecurity was not that important, and a lot of efforts were not channeled towards cybersecurity, but in the recent times, a lot has changed. With the advent of different types of technology, you look at the AI, the ML, and cloud computing, and so on and so forth. You look at technologies that can make you say things that you didn't say. You have technologies where you can appear in a place you have never been to. Like one I got this morning, somebody sent a message to me, and somebody actually spoke to an uncle of ours with a voice, which she didn't do. So that tells us how developed, how sophisticated, cyber attacks or cyber threats have become globally. Now, coming to the whether the cybersecurity is viable or not, I can tell you for free, it's very, very viable. I didn't start my career as a cybersecurity expert. I was more into banking. After I left banking, I went fully into information security. Along the line, I discovered that information security, the cybersecurity is a major component in information security. In fact, there's a particular module that's dedicated to cybersecurity in a 27001 information security management system. That should tell you how important cybersecurity has become. And another thing I want to also emphasize is that the world itself lack this skill. The skills of cybersecurity experts is so small. There's shortage of this skill everywhere, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. So you see there are hotcakes, and I'm sure that James can bear me witness on this one. Almost every organization now, is either looking for a cybersecurity, you're looking for a consultant or something, because it has become a major challenge. Even if you look at the viability, there is a research, that says that by the end of 2025, we'll have about 3.5 million on-field vacancy for cybersecurity experts globally. 3.5 million. So that tells you there's a huge lot of opportunity in this particular area, and it's better to quickly come to this wave, because this is just where the world is going. In fact, this is where the world is at the moment. If you're not into cybersecurity, I don't know what you're into, honestly. Because that's just the main thing now. Every organization, every company, every school, they are susceptible to breaches. Like James said, these breaches can come in any form. Spoofing, man in the middle attacks, DDoS, denial of service can come in different forms, even social engineering. You understand? So it's so huge and it's so important. And the truth about it is, in as much as, okay, we put this and put this and put this in place, to a large extent, an organization that wants to be serious about combating cybersecurity must have experts within it. Even these experts are trained and retrained all the time. I've attended like 2 cybersecurity trainings. I've just even had another one. Why are we doing that? Because we have understand that it's important to be abreast. So we continually sharpen our skills. So for people that are coming up and you're looking at cybersecurity, I can tell you that this is a sector, is a skill that can never be wasted. It's a skill that is relevant to you as a person. It's a skill that is relevant to every organization that you can think of, because every organization is open to this attack. Understand? So it's actually a very viable field. And then the last I checked, when I did a little survey, I learned that even an entry level, like it in Nigeria, I don't know how it is in Canada, James, but in Nigeria, an entry level, in a good organization, hence between 6 and 7 million as a cybersecurity expert. Then when you look at it abroad, maybe 50,000 USD, something like that, in that range. So it's not according to the way we should say it in local parlance, it's not moi, you understand. It's a very serious matter, and it's very important for us to, those of us that are interested in going this route, I can assure you it's a very viable route. It's a skill that is very, very high in demand. It's a skill that is being sought after, both locally and internationally. I can assure you that. This cybersecurity is actually is global. It's global. If you follow CIA of FBI, they keep talking about these issue, these cyber attacks. It's something that happens on a daily basis. I was going through a particular documentary, and it says between 1,000 and 1,158 cyber attacks happen on a daily basis. You understand? And now when this attack happens, for organizations that prepare themselves, they are the ones that are able to withstand these attacks and overcome them. But for organizations that have not been able to strengthen their resilience, you understand? Definitely, when you have breaches, most organizations that go down, they don't recover, except for those that have invested in cybersecurity, those that have invested in training people, those that have invested in their systems, those that have invested in their processes. Those are the ones that can quickly come back to operations. Imagine even a ransomware. Imagine a company, an hospital, a blue chip company being attacked with ransomware. It's only if they have a strong backup, if they have invested in cybersecurity, then it will be easy for them to come back up. But if not, that may probably be the end of the organization if care is not taken. I hope I've been able to explain this to the best of my knowledge. I know Mr. James will speak more to it. Thank you, Madam Lum.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Idris. Thank you for that wonderful response. While you were talking, I just kept on asking myself, should I switch my career? Should I change my career path? Because man, I need those 6 figures. Yeah, thank you for that question. So let's quickly move into the part. I'm very sure that a lot of people in the audience are looking towards getting a career in cybersecurity. So now that we understand how important cybersecurity is, I would just like to ask this, and this is for James. What are some of the measures that can be taken to ensure data confidentiality, integrity, and availability? And what role does encryption and backups play in this whole process? We don't want to, you spoke about a couple of things that loss of data and information could cause. So what are some of the measures that can be taken to ensure that this doesn't happen, that we have data confidentiality, that there is integrity and availability?
Thank you again, Lim, for that question. So some of the measures that can be put in place to ensure CIA and also the roles that encryption and backups play is, number one, we have to ensure that the right security controls are in place, right? You have looking at your network infrastructure, for example, you want to make sure that you have the right firewall configurations in place. You want to make sure that you have the right IDS, which is intrusion detection system, also intrusion prevention system, right? IPS. You want to make sure that you have the right tools in place from that. And then again, you want to make sure that you have a monitoring tool, either in front of the firewall or behind the firewall. And ensuring the right, number two is ensuring the right industry security policies are in place, right? From access control policy, right, to data loss and recovery policy, to BYOD, which is, bring your own device policy, right? So you want to make sure that all those policies are in place. Somebody who has access to just files from the finance department should not have access to files from, say, compliance, right? Let's say you have like a SharePoint site and you have all this. So you have to have the right policies in place from an access standpoint, right? And then again, there's this one that most people don't really talk about is third-party vendor policy, right? You want to make sure that people who have access to your information can, what's the word? You want to make sure that they also have
protected
security policies in place, right? You want to ask them, what are you doing about the security posture of your organization? Because again, if a third-party company gets breached, I have, you have your information with them. So you want to check if they have security insurance, right? From an insurance standpoint. So, and then when we look at encryption, one of the, should I say, the role that encryption plays, it plays a very vital role when data is at rest or in transit. So data at rest is, is when you install, when it's backed up on an external or internal drive. Data in transit will be when you are sending an email, when you are on a website, right? So you have to make, of course, encryption is very important. And then again, you're now looking at backups. What roles do backups play? Well, they play a very, very, very important role. I mean, I could tell you for a penny that there are companies who have backups of backup. Like, so they have external, they've backed up their backups, right? Either in the cloud, which is highly recommended, because again, when you have backups and you have a data breach, or you have a data breach that leads to a ransomware, you are safe, because you know that, even if these guys have, my data, I have a backup somewhere. And it's highly recommended not to back up everything on the same environment, just in case you have a breach. So I feel that these and more are some of the things that are essential to some of the measures to protect confidentiality, integrity, availability of data, and then also the importance of encryption and backups.
Okay, thank you so much for that, James. That was insightful. At least from the explanation, it makes more sense why most of the time when we send some emails to our clients, you get they'll tell you they can't get emails from out of their organization, or when they respond to you following a mail trail, you can see where it says this email is out of our organization, so you need to be careful about it. At least that makes more sense now, because you can see that they are trying to protect their data and their systems. And also, backups are things that we take for granted a lot, but at least now we understand that these are things that we need to do, like constantly. When your data is lost, you don't want to start from scratch. But talking about third-party security, as an organization, you definitely can ensure that. I'm sure with the help of NDAs and other stuff, you can do that. But as an individual, how do you go about doing that? Because, for example, we have banks, the mobile service providers, they have our information, hospitals. So how do you go about ensuring that these third parties ensure that there is proper security of your data and it doesn't go out there? I know I watched a documentary sometime on Netflix that spoke about a site that there was a breach and everybody's information was out there, and it did a lot of damage, but how do you go about ensuring that as an individual?
Great question, Lim. So, it all boils down to the the structure of, should I say, the country, the policies in place, right? If you have policies in place, let's say from a legislative standpoint on security, on data as a whole, right? You can, and there is a breach, and you know that that your personal information is now on the dark web. In fact, we do have a tool, at Gadly, where you can scan URLs and look for, and then it brings down like a list of should I say, emails, websites that your credentials is, right. Some of them are sold on the dark web, so we have a tool that can help you do that. But back to the point now, you can, from a legal standpoint, if you have all the information that you have, you can actually file a legal suit against the bank or against the hospital. I don't know how the legal system is back in Nigeria, but here, when you have a strong ground and you see that, the third party vendor in question you see that they never ensured that they have a and what's the word, insurance, cybersecurity insurance. So from that standpoint, you can take them up, right? Make sure that they have insurance. Make sure that they have a strong cybersecurity posture. Make sure that your information is safe, because it is your right? It is your information that's being breached. It's your information that's out there, sensitive information, like your credit card information, your bank statement information, right? So all those things are important information. Imagine if there was a breach the other day in the US about where a certain company was breached, and then a lot of social insurance number was leaked to the dark web. So I feel that individuals can say, well, I'm going to take this up and see if I can get some form of compensation, or see how this company that got breached can ensure that they have the right tools in place.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just add something?
Yes, please, you can.
Okay, I just want to say that in addition to the points that James has made, all right, it's imperative for an organization, to ensure that whoever vendor or contractor that provide the third-party service to them also take security seriously. It's not enough to have an NDA, or have an SLA. Basically, because if probably you're in Canada, you're in the UK, you're in the US, the legal system is completely different than what we have here. So beyond the NDA, SLA, and those things being in place, it is also important for us as an organization to ensure, like what we did in the company that we had to work with for certification of our students, 7001. We mandated the service provider that we needed to pay a visit to their facility. And because we had a relationship with them, they obliged us and went to the environment, only to discover that in their facility on their own, they have issues with storage, which we would never have found out if we didn't pay that visit. You understand? So in as much as it's good to have your NDAs, your SLAs, and all those in place, it's important for you to also ensure that that company, if there are 4 or 5 of them, they are also secured. Because once there's a breach from their angle, it will definitely impact on you as an organization. A lot of auditors show that we have an NDA, we have an SLA, so we are fine. But when the chips are down, then we now realize that the NDA or the SLA will not actually take us very, very far. And also, the things you mentioned about individuals too, on our own, there are things we can also do to put us on the right pedestal. For instance, being aware of what is happening in the cybersecurity world. Don't just be on your corner and think you are okay. I mean, you need to know what is going on. You need to be part of it. You need to attend trainings. You need to create awareness. All those things can help us as individuals. You need to know that you just don't get a mail to click something and you just click because the mail is coming from Idris. You just see Idris, it's Idris. I just click this mail and open it. You need those awareness. It's important for you personally as a person, beyond even the organization. It's a responsibility on you to also ensure that you also are abreast of these things. You're aware of what is going on in the cybersecurity world. You're aware of the trend of attacks so that you don't just fall victims and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that addition, Mr. Idris. Thank you so much for that. It's actually very important for us to self-educate on these things, because truly, the world that we are in today, ignorance is not an excuse anymore, and you can't let yourself get affected by the fact that you did not know something, especially because there's information everywhere and we can always learn. So thank you for that. Let's just go to the next question. Before we go there, I can see some questions in the chat and in the. Please, if you have any questions as the speakers are talking, you can write them down in the chat or the Q&A, or you can write them down on your notebooks. And once we're done with this session, we will ask all those questions. We'll read those in the chat and Q&A section, and then we will also ask people who have their hands up if they have any Q&A. We'll call you to unmute yourself and ask your question. So before we go into that, let's just go to the next question. I feel like Mr. Idris has already answered this. I wanted to ask some essential cybersecurity best practices, which I think you have already spoken to them in detail, except you have some more that you want to add. I know you've spoken about us training ourselves. You've also said it's more about policies and not just saying that you have an SLA or an NDA, but are there other essential cybersecurity best practices that different individuals and organizations can use?
Yeah, there's so much. There's so many, honestly. It's just for us to get serious, and I said self-educate and also train employees. You understand? There's so many other things that we can do. For instance, the use of strong passwords, in as simple as it sounds, we take them for granted most times. You even go to an enterprise, you're working in data center, and you see admin password is admin. Is that bad? Honestly, you see admin password in a data center on a critical asset, and the password is admin. So it means that if anybody have access to that system, that critical infrastructure, all you have to do is just put admin, and you are good to go. This thing will shock you. When you go into audit and get into systems in organizations, you get shocked. How can this be? But those are the realities on ground. We secure every other thing, we do this, we do that. But even now, the people inside managing these systems are using admin, because why? When you ask them why, they'll tell you it makes works easy. I don't need to, James doesn't need to call me to start asking for password. He just gets to the system and he puts admin. Lum gets and just puts admin, and everybody just continue to work. And it sounds crazy, but those are the realities. You found those things in companies that are like wondering what is going on here. Apart from that, you also need to limited access to network resources. You have to make sure that your antivirus softwares are updated regularly. Where they are not there, make sure they're there. Like James said, the use of firewalls cannot be overemphasized. You need firewalls, very, very critical. You understand? Enforce security policies, ensure that people that are supposed to have access don't have access. People that do not need those access, they don't have them. You understand? Change passwords regularly. Don't use a particular password for all your devices. Your phone this is the password. Your mobile app, your banking app. You just have one password you use for everything. So it means that once I get one of those passwords, I can, have access to all that you have. Your phones, your bank apps, your internet banking, because it's just ABCD. You understand that you have that. Some of us, this password are even something you can guess. Some of us, we use our birthdays, we use marriage anniversaries, we use the baby's names, we use so many things that people can just out of the blue just guess. I can just, okay, Lum, most password is Lum 123. Any of applications you go to, just put Lum 123. You have access. It's crazy. But these are things we do for convenience because we believe that this makes life easy for us. But the dangers are there, the risks are there. James spoke about backup. Backup is just the ultimate. You have organizations that take this thing seriously, that they have a backup. They have a backup for that backup. You understand? They don't have another backup for that backup. So you see, that's how it works here. I don't know how it works there, James. You see an organization here, we advise that, okay, you have this backup. You have another backup for that backup. You now have another backup for that backup. So at the end of the day, you have 2-3 backups. So that in case anything happens, if you cannot come up here, we are talking about business continuity now. You understand? If you try to go here, you cannot come up. Then you go here. By the time you go 1, 2, you'll be able to come up no matter what the situation is. So backup is also a very, very important part of being aware of cyber security. We spoke about backup, about being updated with events, emerging trends in the industry, knowing what is going on, installing data protection solutions, use of strong Wi-Fi networks, and all that and all that. So there's a whole lot that we can do both as individual, as organizations. Thank you, Ma.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mr. Idris. Thank you so much. At least I know that I noted a couple of things down. Not only using strong passwords, but changing them regularly and having different passwords for different apps and different systems, security policies, the use of firewalls, restricting access and granting it just to people who need to have that access, and limiting access to outside networks. So thank you so much for that. I'm sure a lot of us who work in different organizations are taking note of these things and will use them in our organizations. So on that note, let's move to the next question, which is for James. How can individuals and organizations, okay, so I think Mr. Idris has spoken a lot on that. So let's just rephrase and ask this for James. What are some of the common types of cyber threats that organizations can face? Because a lot of times you might be under threat and you don't even know, you're not even aware that you're under a cyber attack or this is a cyber threat. So can you just enlighten us on some of the different types of cyber attacks or cyber threats that exist and that can affect both individuals and organizations?
Again, thanks, Lem. I think Ole, again, thanks for the input so far. Just I wanted to add one thing before I answer that question. I was going to add, MFA, multi-factor authenticator, making sure that that is established across all accounts on your systems and whatnot, right? So that's helpful. So some of the common threats, we have so many. Adekunle mentioned DOS attack, denial of service. This basically means overwhelming a system with traffic to make it unavailable to users, right? Those are the other day on X, if you notice, Elon Musk was having a live chat with Donald Trump, and it was supposed to be aired on X, and it was the limit. I think they had over 1 million people could join, but at 250,000 the link stopped working. If you clicked on it, it wouldn't launch. Why? Because some threat actors were pushing the denial of service attack to that URL, preventing people from accessing it, right? So that is like a real life example, right? And of course, protecting it is implementing network security. Use anti-DDoS service and monitoring and monitor network traffic of unusual activities, unusual anomalies, right? And then we have, of course, the famous one, phishing. Phishing is something that can never again be overemphasized. It happens almost every time. Fraudulent attempt to obtain sensitive information, right? And these guys disguise in a way that you wouldn't know. For example, if you send an email to somebody, right, or an Outlook, or mostly on Outlook and also Gmail, you wouldn't, at first glance, you wouldn't see the sender's email. You only see the sender's name, right? So most people will just see a name, let's say, coming from Adekunle and then just click without opening the email, looking at the sender's email address to make sure that it verifies with the sender's name. Right? That's how most people fall into phishing attempts. And then we also have social engineering attack, is when somebody pretends to be someone else, right? And then again, we have the malware, which is we all know malicious software such as, virus, ransom, spyware, Trojan, and these can damage and disrupt systems. Again, to prevent malware is to use reputable antivirus software. We have so many. We have CrowdStrike, then antivirus. We have Carbon Black and whatnot. Right? These keep your system up to date and avoid downloading files from untrusted sources. You have to ensure that you don't just download files from untrusted sources. And one thing, as a cybersecurity analyst or as an IT manager, you have to make sure that you have a test environment where if patches come up, new patches come up, updates, you don't just push all the patches to the system. You have to test it. You have to have a test environment to make sure that everything works. That was again the issue that CrowdStrike had. If you could remember, they just pushed out a patch and then it disrupted millions of operations. So, sorry, millions of systems, right? So these and more. And again, we have the password attack. Attempt to gain access. Adekunle he mentioned not using your birthdays, which is really common. Not using your what's the word? Your middle name. You have to ensure that you use industry standard password, right? Policy, which is between 12 characters, right? You have to, symbols, numbers, letters. You have to make sure that you do not use one password across all accounts. It is not good. And then we have the most common one. The one that people don't really look at is insider threats, right? Insider threats, threats from individuals within the organization who have access to sensitive information, right? You have to make sure that your employees, especially those IT guys and others, other people, management, they sign like an agreement, right? So insider threat is something that is actually happening. You see somebody who just got fired and wasn't happy and decided that since he has information to bring down the company, he goes ahead, teams up with some black hat hackers, and then they gain access to your environment. You have to make sure that is not in place. And how you can do this, is to implement strict access controls, conduct regular audits, and also provide cybersecurity training to employees, right? Make sure that they have cybersecurity trainings, right? And I know that we can only just get safe. There's so many attacks, so many threats, I beg your pardon, but these ones are ones that I feel are really common, and we need to be mindful of.
Okay, thank you so much for that, James. I'm sure when our IT support guys tell us we should come for a cybersecurity training, we're not going to turn our noses up, because now we understand that these are real things. And we're not going to frown at them when they want to carry out all these access controls and give us new passwords, and do the necessary audits that they do. I was particularly intrigued about the internal threats. A lot of things we are very trusting, especially where you're in an organization where everybody seems like family. So it's hard to believe that the threat can actually be within. But thank you for that insight. So let's go to our last question for the session. And even though I'm asking this to Mr. Idris, James too can also give an input to it after Mr. Idris has done justice. So we've been hearing about emerging technologies like AI, Internet of Things, cloud computing. How are all these emerging technologies impacting cybersecurity? And what are some of the things that we should expect in the future? As individuals and organizations, what should we expect in the future But first, let's look at how emerging technologies like AI, Internet of Things, and cloud computing, just to name a few, are impacting cybersecurity. So this is for you, Mr. Idris, and then James too could add.
Okay, for emerging technologies, talk about the AI, the ML, cloud computing, the IoT, Internet of Things, and all. This sophistication, the advancement that has come to make our work easier and faster. Believe you me, there was a time in the office that we needed to work on some invoices for a particular client, and one of our IT guys just came and said, "Sir, I can use ML and just I convert these things even from the hard copy straight to the system." I'm like, wow, are you sure that's possible? And they gave the guy the whole file, and within 1 hour, something was supposed to spend like a week or two on. He said, get them done and got them converted. That's the beauty of these emerging technologies. They are robust. They're efficient. They enhance our productivity. They make our work faster. In some instances, they even they reduce our costs. And they are so beneficial to us that they are just part of our lives. And these technologies keeps advancing and advancing and advancing. Now, we are all within that euphoria of enjoying these technologies. But the more they develop, the more this advancement, the wider the security environment becomes. You understand? The environment gets broader. With the advent of new technologies, introduction of new technologies, the scope just keeps getting wider and wider and becoming more challenging for experts to battle. That's why it's important for you as an expert to always be ahead of these bad boys. However, with this advancement, a couple of things we could expect. Let me just run through a couple of them. For instance, AI and ML. The advancement with these particular tools, is so high that they help and they have brought a sophistication, to threat detection and mitigating cyber attacks. You understand, because the way they operate, the algorithm that these applications have developed, they are so advanced, they are so technical, are so sophisticated that within a jiffy, they could detect threats faster than most of other tools we used to use before now. Another one, like I mentioned earlier, is also the growing attack surface. It's getting broader and wider, and all that. And we have introduced a lot of entry points now into security. So the battle is just getting the war is just getting fierce and fierce and fierce and more advanced by the day. With the advent of AI, for instance, also comes along with its risk and rewards. You understand? That's another aspect. We also need to look forward to changing cyber regulations, across the globe, because as these technologies are being introduced, the laws too will definitely change. You understand? So I just to keep up with these trends, the laws are going to change. I think generally those are just some of the things that I would like to share. Quantum computing threatens encryption supply too. Quantum computing also threatens encryption. That's a threat to the encryption. The encryption that a lot of us feel that, once you encrypt, all you have to do is just have the keys to decrypt and you're okay. But honestly speaking, a lot is going on and a lot will still be happening. Even the supply chain that we have mentioned has also increased, and there's a lot of more exposure And the risk there too are also getting higher and more by the day. Those are just some of the few things we should expect as we continue to advance and move forward with the advent of emerging technologies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Idris. So, James, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Adekunle has said, some few important keys. For some of the things I would add here is the impact of engaging technology in cybersecurity. Of course, looking at AI is advanced threat detection. Adekunle had mentioned that, with AI, you can use AI to analyze vast amount of data, right, to identify patterns and detect anomalies, right? I think AI is a tool that has come to stay. Although, like he said, as AI begins to evolve, more tools are being used, the landscape of cybersecurity increases. We want to see how those information generated by AI is actually true and not compromised, right? And then we also have automated response, right? AI can automatically, sorry, beg pardon, AI can automate responses, to certain types of threats, right? It can, by redirecting the time it takes to mitigate attacks, right? And then, of course, we can look at the IoT. One thing I see there is there's definitely going to be an increase of attack surface, right? There's going to be an increase of data privacy concerns, right? We see that ITO devices often collect and transmit a large amount of data, right? And then, of course, which will raise concerns about data privacy and, of course, data security. And then we're going to be looking at network security challenges, right? Securing a network with numerous ITO, devices, can be very complex. And I basically had mentioned cloud computing, right? Which is, we talked about data security, right? I see an increase of that shared responsibility model. But looking at what we foresee in the future is, of course, an increased use of AI in cybersecurity. That's what I see, right? AI will continue to play a critical role in ensuring, or should I say, enhancing cybersecurity measures, right? From detecting to automated responses and whatnot, right? And then again, strong ITO security standards. I see that in the future. And then if you want to go forward again, I see greater emphasis on cybersecurity training, which people don't companies are taking for granted. The first point of contact is human error. Humans are more prone, because if you have a system that is well configured, you just need one human being to make a little mistake. And then of course, the integration of zero trust architecture, right? And these are some of the things I see in the future.
Thank you so much for that, James. Thank you so much for adding to that. Thank you, Mr. Idris. Thank you, Mr. James Eboh, for this high level of insight that you have provided for us today with respect to cybersecurity. So I'm going to quickly go into the question and answer session. I'm going to start with those which have already been shared in the chat. And after we do that, then we're going to take the questions for the people's hands that are up. So that's the first question in the Q&A. This is from Quanta. I hope I did not murder your name. This is from Quanta. Quanta says, hi, thank you for this session. Please, how much cybersecurity certifications for AWS, Google, and Microsoft. Would James give a breakdown and relevance of having the certification? Okay, he will give you the relevance of the certification. However, we will share the details of the breakdown with you via email. So, James, please, can you give the relevance of having these certifications, the certifications for AWS, Google, and Microsoft?
Well, so those certifications are really good. They give you an should I say soft landing or easy landing when you're trying to look at getting into security. But one thing I want to make emphasis on is you have to identify which area of cybersecurity that you want to be in. Right? There's so many areas. There's the CISO. There's the cybersecurity analyst. There is the cybersecurity auditor. There's the cybersecurity trainer. So you want to identify which area. There's the network security analyst. So you want to identify which area that you have passion in, and then look for certifications that apply to those areas, right? And I will be, I'm talking about certain things. For example, if you're looking at going as an entry level cybersecurity analyst or entry level cybersecurity person, you want to look at CompTIA Security Plus, right? You want to look at what's the word now? CompTIA Networking Plus. This provides networking and security fundamentals crucial for security. Right? So you want to do all those things, and I would be sharing my screen at some point just to show you some of the layers, if that's okay, just to show you some of the layers in security that you can look at for it. So again, number 2 is you can take a course, a certification in CISO, CCNA security. It gives you a good fit if you are interested in network security, right? More focused on Cisco products, but still valuable, right? And then you want to take certification around ISC, CC, that covers like the security basics, right? But I think there might be some other questions that come up, and I think Adekunle might also have 1 or 2 things to say.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you for that. I think Mr. Idris too will want to add more because he is an ISO expert, he's a lead auditor, he's a lead implementer, and he too will have some more certifications that you can take to, especially the ones that are relevant in the country where you are. I know in Africa, ISO is very relevant and very common here, Nigeria, Canada, and other countries too. So I think Mr. Idris will have some insights too on that.
Okay. For in terms of certifications, there's quite a lot of them that one can take. They're actually important, But however, as much as the certifications are important, the experience too is key. If you have the opportunity to serve somewhere, you can even volunteer, just to make sure you garner the experience that you need. When I started my journey into information security, I wasn't prepared for it. There was an opening, and I'm like, this thing sounds new. That was way back 2011. 2011. That was way back, and I was like, this thing sounds interesting. Nobody wanted to go, in my department then. I said, let me go and try it. So I was taken out from risk management, and I was pushed to IT security. That was how I started my journey in information security. I almost like volunteered myself. Let me just learn this thing newly. And after like a year, we were sent for training. We went to India, we did the training. By the time we came back, that's when people realized that, oh, this thing seems to be very, very serious. It was after we came back in 2012 that CBN now came up with a regulation, and directed that all banks in Nigeria, must get certified to ISO 27001. 2005 as at that time. You understand? So that was how we started, So for cybersecurity, there's so many of them. Like James has pointed out, I know a couple of them. And also for information security, ISO 27001 is there, very important. Lead auditor, lead implementer, BCMS is there, lead auditor, lead implementer, there are so many, just make sure you find yourself where your passion lies, like James pointed out, because interest and passion, plays a major role in these things. If not, you just go in and you get frustrated. You understand? So I think that's just a few things that I want to add to what my colleague had said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Adekunle. We have a catalog of cybersecurity courses that we do here at iCentra Learning. We're going to share them in the chat. So in case you're interested in any of them, you can reach out to us for more information. You can also check out our website. There are dedicated landing pages for different courses on both information security and cybersecurity. So you could also reach out and we'll give you more information. A link to the website and also to these courses is going to be shared in the chat, and also a registration link in case you're interested. If you once you click on the registration link and you register, we're going to send you an email with more information about cybersecurity and different courses which you can take with respect to that. So let's go to the next question. This is from Thomas Ruth Caroline. Who is actually responsible for, example, cloud security? Is it shared for both clients or service providers? Thank you. Who is actually responsible for, example, cloud security? So who is responsible for cloud security? Is it shared, or is it the clients, or is it the service provider?
Okay. Can I speak to it?
Yes, please, you can.
Okay, for cloud security is actually I believe is shared. The responsibilities are shared in as much as the service provider plays a major role, because they warehouse information, they warehouse the data, and ensure that the data is protected. The onus is also on you, as a client, to ensure that the service provider, also do the needful in terms of securing those assets. While I was speaking, I gave an example of a facility that I visited, only to discover that they even had storage problem in that facility, and we never knew. That's a major facility hub, a major center in this country. So it was a very, very shocking thing for us. So it's shared responsibility, in as much as the vendor, the service provider, plays a major role in terms of securing the assets with them, the data with them. The company also has a role to play to ensure that those assets, those data, those facilities are actually secured.
Thank you so much for that. At least now we understand that it's a shared responsibility, and even though you have a service provider who is warehousing for you, you still need to do your part to ensure that there is security. So let's go to the next one. This is from Kenneth. Kenneth says, do you have to have a background in coding before entering the field of information security, or is it just about networking? I don't think it's just about networking, but I'm going to leave our experts to answer. Do you want to take this one, James, or do you want to answer?
Yeah. So it's not, you mustn't necessarily have to get some level of experience in coding to be a cybersecurity analyst. Again, it just depends on what area of security you want to venture into, right? There are tools out there that has made coding easy, monitoring tools, right? So cybersecurity is not necessarily about writing codes every now and then, but you must not. One thing that is a good fit is to have some knowledge in IT. So IT is different from cybersecurity, right? So you're looking at your day-to-day, you're able to troubleshoot the system. There's a network downtime, you're able to troubleshoot to bring back the network online. Your a device needs to be replaced. There's a user that needs onboarding, offboarding of a device. You're able to do that. You know, passwords. You're able to look at motherboard. All those things. If you have that level of experience, because I came in I did computer science back in Nigeria. I came to do cybersecurity here in Canada, and then did other courses as well. Because of my experience in IT, that made it a little easy for me to get into cybersecurity. So you don't necessarily have to learn how to code to be in security. Again, it just depends on where you are. There are 7 layers of cybersecurity. We have the physical security, network security, perimeter security, endpoint security, application security, data security, and of course user education when it comes about training. So you don't necessarily have to have some experience in coding.
Okay.
Okay, thank
James.
you. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Idris.
Okay. I just want to compliment what James just said. For you to be an expert in either information security or cybersecurity, like he pointed out, you don't need to be a coder. However, he said something very fundamental. He said that his background, he found it easier because he had a computer science background. That is very, very fundamental. You see, with that kind of background, it will be easier for you to navigate and negotiate the journey, But if you don't have a computer science background, you can also still play in the industry. Like he pointed out, you have to just find area of interest, the particular area that interests you most, and concentrate on that particular area. There are people, there are CISOs, there are people that are cybersecurity analysts and all that that didn't have any they didn't have any computer background. Honestly, it's a bit tougher. Like somebody like myself, I didn't have a computer science background, so I had to do so much more to catch up and be where I am today. So even if you don't have that background, it's still possible. You can become a cybersecurity expert. Just find your area of interest, focus on it, do your own research, and just go all out to get the required skills and do the necessary certifications, and look for organizations like iCentra that can partner with you as a reputation, for mentoring and for coaching and for training people. With that, you can play in any field in a cybersecurity or information security environment. Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Lum.
Thank you for that, Mr. Idris. I'm sure even if the people here don't already have computer degrees to ease it, you can always advise other people, friends, family on choosing the right career in cybersecurity. But then, does that mean that if you don't have these courses or if you don't have this background, you can't do cybersecurity? Or you can't switch your career to that?
No.
Yeah, so just as what Adekunle had said, just to build off on what he said, you can, but it's going to be a little demanding for you, right? You have to do some extra work. You can, it's not, but one thing we want to eliminate is having untrained cybersecurity analysts, right? Again, I'm not against boot camps. I'm not against all those stuff, but you find, Adekunle can even attest to this. You find people who just do like 5 days boot camp and come out and say, I'm a cybersecurity analyst. No, it goes way beyond that, right? There has to be a build up. They only show you surfaces. If there is if an attack happens and they say, okay, well, create an incident response plan. How do I implement this? Are you comfortable enough to manage this? Right? So it's not just about like the little here and there, but you have to spend time to come out and say you know your onion. You are able to defend what you know and you're able to implement. So it's not. I mean, I love certifications. Don't get me wrong, but like Adekunle had said, there has to be that form of experience, right? Experience in some organizations go way more than certifications, right? And you have and certification is very important in the cybersecurity world as well. And I think iCentra, they are here to ensure that these certifications go a long way. You get them, and then you're good.
Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, I think we have one last question in the chat before we take a question from Eric Gaboziza. I hope I didn't murder your name, Eric. Oh, we have a couple. Do these telecom companies providing mobile money services follow the PCI DSS compliance? Wow, that's a tough one. But yeah. Do they? Yeah. James, Mr. Idris, do they?
Okay. You see, in Nigeria, part of the problem we have in terms of these standard and security is actually on the side of policies, one. Secondly, on the side of implementation and enforcement. You have a lot of these policies out there, but nobody is really enforcing them. Like when I started, I mentioned that we had gone for information security training. When we came back, CBN gave a directive that all the banks should certify to ISO 27001. Up till now, their banks are not certified to ISO 27001, and nothing is happening. The same thing with PCI DSS. Basically, this is a security protocol. The security architecture has been designed to protect card operations, if you understand. Value card, MasterCard, whatever card that it is. PCI DSS is designed to specifically, protect the environment. But it will shock you to even know that even for deposit money banks, for DMOs, just a few of them, have gone to PCI DSS circle and are certified. A lot of them are not. So if the DMOs are not even certified to PCI DSS, then you can now look at companies like OPay or MoneyPoint and the rest of them. Those ones don't really see it as something important. You understand? So we have all these regulators there. I think they need to be more serious in what they do. They need to be more. They need to stand their ground in terms of enforcement of these policies and directives to safeguard this business environment. A lot is happening, and nobody is really looking in this direction. PCI DSS is good. I've had to partner with 3 organizations to do PCI DSS. It's stressful, it's tough, but at the end of the day, the organization benefits, the merchants benefit, the customers benefit. It's a win-win situation for everybody, for all the companies that have done PCI DSS. But a whole lot of financial organizations, institutions that even play around card services are not certified to PCI DSS. So it's more of a regulation thing, enforcement, implementation, and all those things. I know in other climes it's completely different. When there are regulations, they are enforced. And if you are found wanting, there are prices to pay, there are penalties. There are sanctions for these things. But here is a completely different game. I know James will attest to some of these things. It's not the same thing over there. And there is a lot of regulations, and those regulations are effective. But here, we are not there yet. We hope that we'll get there soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Idris. I know early last year, the government also sent out a new policy saying that everybody or every organization that has people's information and organizations' information need to be compliant, and they need to ensure that there is proper information security for all these people. So even service providers for like Glow, MTN, and all these people, NIMSI, the people who do ID cards, and everybody that just has information, they need to be ISO certified. They need to be ISO certified and all that. So, yeah, it is something that we're trying to enforce in Nigeria now, especially, and I believe other African countries. And that's why it is important that we have people who are equipped with the skills to do this, to work in these organizations with these people. That's why cybersecurity now is on the rise. It's on the uprising. So that there's even more need for people to be developed, to have these skills, to become cybersecurity experts so that they can ensure that there's the enforcement of all these different security policies in these different organizations, because having a policy and not having people to enforce it is also a very big issue. That's why you have organizations like iCentra that are trying to train people and develop people's skills so that they can work in these organizations and help to ensure enforcement of all these different security policies. So thank you for that. I think we've answered all the questions in the chat. So let's take Eric Gabonziza's question. His hand has been up for a while. You can unmute yourself. Oh, okay. Chinedu says, do you train people on ISO 27001? Yes, we do train people. In fact, we have trained people over the last 3 years from all these different organizations in ISO 27001. It's one of the core courses that we do here at iCentra Learning, and we could do that for you. In the chat, a registration link has been dropped there. So if you click on that registration link, we will have your email and we can send you all the necessary information pertaining to the course schedules, the different cohorts, and the costing for ISO 27001 and other cybersecurity courses, both the foundations and the advanced.
Hi, can I talk?
Yes, please, you can go ahead, Eric.
Okay, thank you. It was a good presentation. Thanks for both of you guys, James and Kay. I have 4 quick questions, but before that, I have 2 contributions based on what you were discussing before. There was one question about cloud security. So what I want to say, it depends on the type of cloud you choose. If you choose, for example, a service as a software as a service, or infrastructure as a service, or platform as a service, the way you are going to share the security is not the same. Like a software as a service is only the provider, because you as a user, you don't have any control. So you start to share when it start to be like a platform and infrastructure as a service. And then number 2, it was about there was a question James was responding about the background. Do I need to have an IT background? Like a Kay said, he didn't have IT background before he joined the cybersecurity. Yes, you don't need any IT background. So you can come from accounting, you can come from nursing. For example, I have an academy and I have trained nurses, trained journalists, trained lawyers, and now they are cybersecurity professionals. So I just want to tell people in the audience who are not in the IT background, who don't have IT background, yes, you can come and join. The most important just to have the knowledge, because at the end of the day, we ask you, what do you know? Not what you have. So it means the knowledge. And remember, 80% of the skills you need in cybersecurity are soft skills, which means communication. How do you deal with your peers? Are you able to talk to work in a group? Before you have 20%, which is hard skills. Hard skills are those knowledge you need to know how to use the cybersecurity tools. For example, if you want to scan a network or you want to discover any whatever is going wrong in the system. So you guys who are not who don't have an IT background, you don't have to worry. You can join. So my first question is especially for Kay, who is in, I believe, James is not in Africa, I think. So, Kay, what do you do in terms of convincing those decision makers? Because, you know, you have to push them to spend a lot of money. But in front of them, they don't see security as an investment yet. So what do you do to convince a decision maker to spend $1 million to something they don't see right away a return? That's my first question. The second question is, what do you do in terms of offline backup? Because you were saying during your presentation about a backup of backup. So based on the list, they recommend to have 3 backups. So now, you know, when a hacker just hacked into your system, the first thing they do, they cut your line between your company and where you have your backup. So what do you do, or what do you recommend for offline backup? And my number 3, oh yes, what do you suggest in terms of have a good incident response management? Because yes, it's good to know how to protect, but if something happens, what do you suggest to that company? What do they have to put in place before, just to be proactive, not to come to repair, just to be ready? And then my last question is, what kind of solution or what kind of recommendation do you provide? I remember James was talking about attacks from inside. He mentioned about phishing. So what do you recommend in terms of combat against those phishing attacks? Thanks.
Thank you for that question, Eric, or those questions, because those were like 4 different questions. Thank you for that. I think I can answer your first question. If we want our decision makers to give us money for cybersecurity, we just need to show them the Equatorial Guinea saga that happened last week. And I'm very sure that they're going to open the government coffers and give us money to ensure that all their information is secured. But that's just an aside. Over to you, Mr. K. If you can answer that.
Okay. The truth about it is that the success of any security architecture or endeavor, you know, depends on the management of the organization. You know, if you don't have the buy-in of management, honestly, you will just be wasting your time. You know, because they are the decision makers. They are the ones that will even provide the funding, you know, for security to be put in place. You understand? So it's important for you to start by having a session with management himself, you know, making them to understand the importance of security, you know, bringing forward incidences like that of Equatorial Guinea, you know, and other incidents that have happened across the globe. You understand? With those things, they are bound to realize that security is everybody's business, number one, and security is a critical thing that needs to be done in every organization. You understand? So with those few things, if you ensure that they have the awareness, they have the understanding of why you need to do what you need to do in terms of security, and with some of these evidences of things that have happened across the globe, they will surely understand with you and make the money, the funding available. If you look at information security, there's a particular clause and controls that speak directly to management responsibility. You understand? So, and when you are doing audit, is a very important part of the audit. Once you fail from that direction, obviously you're going to fail your certification, because from there, as an auditor, I can tell you that if you don't have management support, then everything you have done, means that you have done them on your own without management being in the picture. So obviously that audit is going to be a failure. It's very important for us to have a management commitment, in what we do. By doing those few things, you can make them understand, realize the importance of these things. They may not quickly say, okay, let's go ahead. But with time, they are bound to get there. For instance, when I started, like I said, we had been on this thing for about 4 years. Management did not say any reason why they should spend so much on information security. You understand? So at a point when a lot of breaches were happening and they were resulting into loss, financial loss, they also result into reputational damages. At that point, management had to sit down that if this happened to Bank A, then it can happen to Bank B. So at that point, everybody realized that we need to spend more money on information security and cyber security. So that's that for what you need to do in terms of management. I'm trying to remember the other questions. I can't really remember. Mark, can you help us? Or maybe James can take over from there.
Okay, Eric, please, can you quickly just ask the other questions you asked? We're about wrapping up. This webinar is supposed to close by 5 p.m. So can we just quickly answer those ones and take that?
Talk about phishing.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Can I just go ahead and answer some of the questions here?
Please go ahead.
If that's
go ahead.
okay. So, regarding phishing, right? What you can do, I believe the question was about preventing users from clicking on phishing emails, and what are the tools that can use to prevent such. So they are,
James, it's about
right.
Awareness.
Okay, so awareness. Okay, yeah. So you can, as a company, you can have security awareness trainings on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis, right? You can create a platform. For example, there are tools out there. I could just use one tool. There is Talent LMS. There's also KnowBe4 that. Then I believe iCentra might also know one or two tools. You can have this tool creates phishing simulations, right? That has been sent out to users, to test their knowledge on phishing emails, right? So you can do that and then send it out to users on a monthly basis. Anybody that clicks on the link, it's been sent to a security remediation group where they retake the training again, right? So it has to be an ongoing thing. Because of the way security is evolving, threats are evolving. There are different types of attacks. There's phishing, there's vishing. Vishing is when you receive text messages. You receive saying you have a package from, say, like Amazon, or from click on this link, and you see desperate people want to say, well, let me click. And this attack starts from they always want you to click on something, click on one link. To answer your second question about how to get manage, how to get management to approve, cybersecurity, what's the word, financing, you can get, so we currently have a tool, I was going to share this later, where, what's the word, I'll post it on the chat. You can run a security score of the company's posture, right? Put their URL on our tool, then it shows you where they stand as a company. It shows you literally it shows you the score, and with that you can take you can take to the company and say, well, this is what your company looks like from a cybersecurity standpoint. These are the things that you have to pay attention to. I'll post the link on the chat. It's free. You guys can go ahead, and if you need to.
Actually, I was talking about
yeah.
I was talking about if it's your management, not a client. Your management.
Yeah.
You are part of a company. Yes.
Right.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Thanks.
Okay. So you're part of a company now. This is where you have to use this security to run a security assessment of your company, right? Take the results and present to management. This is where we stand as a management, as a company, right? We need to invest in security. These are where the loopholes are. Some of our emails are being leaked on the dark web. Our website, the URL, we don't have web security certificates implemented properly, right? There's so many links, so you have to run an assessment, and then one thing I strongly believe is numbers speak volume, right? Once they see that, oh, this thing is, we have to invest in this, we have, we are open to breach, then they would invest. So I think from a management standpoint, it's when you would do an assessment and then take to the management. I don't know, Eric, did I answer your question?
Yes, I'm satisfied. But can you just talk? I know you don't have enough time about offline backup, because Kay was talking about backup to backup. Yes, thanks.
Yeah. So for offline backup, you have to implement encryption on those backups, right? There are so many tools out there that can help you do that. When you are, for companies who would want to have, who would prefer local external backups, they have the tools that would encrypt those device. It could be a hard drive. It could be a very large space. So upside backups refers to storing copies of your data in a local physical separate from your premises, right? From your business premises, have it offsite. We have data centers that we have data farms where you can say, well, I want to coordinate with a company that offers this package. I want my data to be stored in a data farm or a data center.
So let me quickly add too. So I just want to quickly add that also in terms of phishing, there are tools that can also help you to sieve emails that will ensure that you don't get some particular type of emails in your company. Those tools are readily available. We need to know that there's a difference between HTTP and HTTPS. A lot of us don't pay attention to those things, as small as they look. You understand? There's a difference between HTTP and HTTPS. A lot of us don't really pay attention. We need to pay attention to those type of things. Then on phishing, okay, I spoke. Okay, there are tools that can help us to save mails that come into our enterprise to ensure that we don't just open mails as soon as they enter. I think that's just about all that I just wanted to quickly add. And also on the backup, sir, whether your backup is offline or online, whatever it is, it's not just enough to have a backup. You understand? Is also imperative for you to be able to restore and test the backups that you have. Because it is when there's an eventuality that is when you will know really whether you have a backup or you don't have a backup. It's not just to have a device. Okay, maybe you have an hard drive that you back up and keep somewhere, or you even store in the cloud. Is when the chips are down and you need not to recover from that backup. That's when you will know whether you have a backup or not. So it's important for us to regularly test our backup. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you for that.
sorry, I know. Just to add
question,
one more
James.
thing. Okay, I think. Sorry, yeah. Go ahead. Lane.
You said you have some tools. Do you have any tool which can do backup like almost like the CDN? You see how we have like Akamai, because you were talking about DDoS. How when they, for example, you have a mirror and people are attacking, they attack the mirror, they don't attack your data. Do you have any tool which can do similar but for backup? If you do, please can you share with me? Thanks.
Eric, what we'll do is that we will share Mr. Idris and James's LinkedIn profiles on the chat, and you can always reach out to them for more.
Okay, sounds good. It sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you for that. So thank you very much, Mr. Idris. Thank you very much, James. Please just each of you take 1 minute, since we really don't have time. 1 minute just to give your final closing remarks based off on cybersecurity, so that we can close the webinar. Thank you so much, everybody, for making time. Yeah. Over to you, Mr. Idris, and then James, can you just give your closing remarks in 1 minute for how we should go about cybersecurity?
Okay. Since the cybersecurity was started in the 1960s and the 70s, it's become a major race that the world has been on, running here and there. My closing remark is just for us to know that we all need to be involved, in this cyber war. Everybody needs to be involved. Personally, we need to be involved. Organizationally, we need to be involved. Whether you work for the government, you work for yourself, you run a business, you need to get involved. Everybody needs to get involved. And for you to get involved, you must get the required trainings. You must get the required trainings, you must get the required skills and certification. It goes a long way to ensure that you're actually prepared for what is coming. Truly, a lot is coming. It is important for us to be prepared with these emerging technologies. We ain't seen nothing yet. We have not even started. So on that note, I want to say it's important for us to be ready for what is coming, and we are able and we can do once we set our mind to it. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Idris, for making our time and being here just to enrich everybody. Thank you so much for that. James, please, can you take your bow in 1 minute?
Oh, yes. So sorry about that. I didn't know that my camera was locked. Again, I want to appreciate iCentra for having this amazing informative session. It was really good. I enjoyed myself talking about security, tools, mitigation practices and whatnot. And really, really, really good. Again, thank you for having me from Dudley. You can reach me. I think Lane would, share the information that you need. And I'm really open to, these sessions. Cybersecurity can never be overemphasized. Like what, picking words from K, as we evolve, threat evolves, right? As technology advances, threat also evolves, right? It advances. So we need more people in the cybersecurity space, and we also, we need people who are open-minded to learning, right? And also people who want to get the relevant experiences, which is very key in the cybersecurity space. And I'm looking forward to connecting with us on LinkedIn. You can visit the website, our website and whatnot. But yeah, great stuff.
Thank you so much for that, James. Thank you, Mr. Idris, for that update. And thank you so much to everybody who availed themselves to be here. I'm happy to announce that we have one of our board of directors, Mrs. Edith Diego. She's on the call and she just gave us some nuggets. She is an IT specialist. She says awareness is key, especially for the young ones. Start from primary schools. This is very key. I know that I've been teaching kids at home about information security, cybersecurity, and this is just, should I call it matching orders from a great woman of wisdom? Let's start it from the beginning. Let's tell our children, let's tell our family members, let's tell our friends, and at work, let us tell everybody there. So thank you all again. Thank you, ma'am, for those nuggets of wisdom. Thank you again, Mr. Idris. Thank you, Mr. James Eboh, for making our time this Friday. And I wish all our delegates and participants a wonderful weekend ahead. See you in January for our next session of All You Need to Know. Trust me, you will enjoy this series. And for all those who want the recording, it's going to be on our YouTube channel. We're going to share the link via email with you. You can go to our YouTube channel and see all the different versions of the All You Need to Know series. We speak to different things based off on everything that we do here at iCentra, from information technology, programs and project management, business analysis, business advisory and consulting, and general capacity building. So thank you all again and have a wonderful weekend. See you all during our next session in January. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.